In the front of my van, I've got these crappy little speakers. Underneath the back seat is a pair of 6x9s, and these things sound awful, but we'll be revisiting these in a future video. And in the back is a 10-inch sub which a friend picked up from a car boot sale second hand for about 20 quid. Bargain. Now this thing sounded absolutely amazing, so I turned it up to 11, started to feel a little bit sick, and now it doesn't work very well anymore. Let me demonstrate what it sounds like. About a year ago, I picked up this, which is an Accoustic Energy 108 series 8-inch active sub. Now I picked it up super cheap because I thought vainly I'd be able to fix it, but I can't. I don't know what's wrong with it. It keeps cutting out. There's something wrong with the amp. And I got a couple of cheap second-hand car amps. This one I picked up last year, 480 watts for 15 quid, and this one was a fiver about 20 years ago. I never used it, and it's supposed to be 600. So if, like me, you're curious to know if these things will work together and if they'll make a sound worth listening to, you might want to stick around a little bit longer. Let's do it. The Accoustic Energy 108 1 series I think is a nice little speaker. So it's a household active sub. It's got a long travel 8-inch cone in the bottom, and to say it does work for a few moments before it starts cutting out, and it sounds really nice and deep and rumbly, and deeper than the pair of 8-inch Solarvox I use in the garage. Also, it's a nice neat compact design, and I'm hoping it's going to go fit inside the cupboards nice and neatly, whereas the sub that's in the van right now is kind of in the way because it's in the back of the boot. I do have a mate who's got a couple of home hi-fi speakers in the back of his Beetle attached to a head unit, and they sound pretty decent to be fair, so I'm pretty sure this should be alright. So I'm going to remove this, but I'm not going to destroy it. It's very, very heavy, so it's probably a good thing it's getting removed for the van at the very least. Connected to the amp is just a few wires. There's the speaker wire, and now that will get connected to our new amps, and we have a couple of controller wires there. Now the speaker cable is connected to a plug, and the plug is actually glued on the board. I assume that's to stop it from vibrating loose. I'm a bit wary about trying to force it off there because I don't want to damage the board or the circuitry, and I'm going to have to remove that plug anyway, so I think I'm just going to snip this cable. So the black amplifier almost fits inside there, which is kind of a shame. It's a little fraction too big. It would be really tricky to get fixings in there though, certainly with the insulation around. I don't know if this box size is actually a tuned size for this particular speaker as well, and I don't really want to destroy its capabilities, so I think we're just going to fill the hole, put some insulation in, and then attach the amplifier to the back of the speaker box. To replace the amplifier section, I've made this out of plywood. I've double layered it, if you can see there, so it's double plywood thickness because I want it to be as rigid as possible. Insulation wise, that's the best I could find, so it's better than nothing, I guess. That's going to go on here. I'm replacing the cap screws with regular screws because I want these to be as low profile as possible. And on here we're going to be mounting our amplifier. So low down at the back, and we have a little hole here for the speaker wire. This lip, for whatever reason, isn't very flat. The wood's kind of deformed, so I'm just using a bit of silicone, not as glue but as a air seal. I have pre-drilled these screw holes and created new ones because the originals were a bit sloppy. As we're only powering a single speaker rather than a left and a right, we just use the bridge option there, look. So positive here on this side and negative on this one. I've opted to use the 480 amp instead of the 600. Firstly, I think it's a 180 setup originally, so I think the 480 is more than enough and 600 is probably overkill. Also, neither of the amps are tested, but I got this one last year from one of those dodgy Jetta drivers, so I'm sure this one will be absolutely fine. Right, let's get this wired into the van. We've got our speaker wired up, we've got our phono cables, and we have a live and a ground. Now this amp is actually powered directly from my battery through a fuse, so I don't have the REM signal from the head unit at the minute. So REM basically wakes up the amp, so you turn the head unit on and then effectively turns the amplifier on, and other than that it goes to sleep, but it's not got the REM signal. So I've just basically bridged the live and the REM together so that the amp turns on when I turn the battery on. It is proper brass monkeys in here. It's freezing. Now, I thought this project was going to be a bit of a bust. And you know what? It's not. It actually worked out pretty well. It's pretty good. It's not until you've been playing the stereo, the whole setup together, and you disconnect the sub, you realise how much bass this little thing's putting out. It's quite impressive for what it is. Now, it's not as loud, it's not as bassy and punchy as the original 10-inch was. Not at all. but the enclosure is a lot smaller. This cone's a lot smaller. 8 versus 10 is a fair difference in size. So I didn't really expect it to be that good, but it's better than I thought it was going to be by a long shot. It really is. The amplifier is actually probably too powerful for the speaker. I've had to turn it right down to get it to work without distorting badly, but it works really, really well for what it is. And they say because it's a small setup, it's going to go inside the cupboards, it's out of the way, and I've not got a big bass speaker in the back, which is a pain in the bum when you're camping. So yeah, I'm really, really happy. I'm not suggesting you go out and buy an amp and go and buy a domestic speaker like this to do this, but if you've got bits knocking around, you might want to have a go. It's something to do in the garage for half a day, and then the results seem pretty decent. So I'm going to try and demonstrate it to you as best I can. I can only do that using YouTube Studio Music, which is not usually the best, and it's not always the most bassiest either, but obviously for copyright reasons I can't just play an old track. So I'll play a couple of tracks with just the 6x9s, which are garbage, and we are going to revisit that. I've got a really good idea for that, but that'll be a future video. And then I'll play it with the sub-connected, and hopefully my little mic here will pick up the difference and you'll be able to hear it. Hopefully. I'm not going to alter the volume in this test, I'm just going to plug in the sub or disconnect the sub.
Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Step 4,
Plugged it in.
everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Today's gonna be a good day. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror.
We need some bass. So it's not crazy loud, but it is deep. It is good. So compared to what it was before, night and day. Let's get inspired. Discovered this one. It's got plenty of bass in this at the start. Or not.
What comes next? I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep
Let me plug the amp in.
I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything
That's
just
proper
feels like a
punchy.
test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Your lies tell me what I want.
Because of its size, it does like that mid to mid-low range really, really well. Cheers, guys. Hope it helps. Take care. Bye-bye.